We're building tomorrow,
but we're human today.
where technology meets us.
And ideas lead the way. From business to connection, from vision into sound.
We turn the boldest ideas
into something real and loud. The synthetic echo.
where human meets machine.
Create it, build it, grow
Push
it.
beyond what you have seen.
The synthetic echo. The future starts right here.
Good morning and welcome everybody to another episode of The Synthetic Echo. I'm very excited for today. It's going to be like a whole new topic that I get to deep dive into because I'm realizing the importance of LinkedIn. So here is my intro. In a world of AI automation and algorithms, how do we build real professional relationships? Our digital profiles can feel like a performance judged by metrics and have little to do with trust and genuine connection. My guest today, Daniel Alfon, is the author and LinkedIn expert who has been on the platform since it was just a digital Rolodex in 2004. He argues the key to success on LinkedIn isn't more connections or more posts, it's being more human. In the conversation, Daniel and I are going to explore the 20-year evolution of professional identities online, how you can build a business and a career on LinkedIn without selling your soul to an algorithm. I am very excited about this because, as you all know, I am a big AI guy, and AI pretty much runs my life, but I'm also very passionate about remaining human in your voice because AI is either going to replace you or it's going to enhance you. And I'm hoping this conversation is about enhancement. So Daniel, thank you so much and welcome to the show.
Hey, Nathan, thanks for having me on the Synthetic Echo. Sounds good.
Awesome. Okay, so I do want to get into high-level conversation, but as I shared with you off camera, I've been in real estate for 16 years. And when I got into real estate, I was basically told that LinkedIn was a waste of time. I shouldn't have to worry about it. Small market, blah, 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 blah. And now I'm in this owning Synthetic Echo, and I'm creating programs for people. And I realized I just wasted 16 years of solid business building connections. And if I were to go back and redo it, I would do it all over again. So let's start off with the basics. Why do I get a LinkedIn profile and what am I going to accomplish through it? What's my goal?
Awesome. If you're in business, then LinkedIn is the world's largest business community. It has over 1.4 billion members. And since this Synthetic Echo chapter episode started, hundreds of people have joined the platform. Nathan, every second, 3 people sign up. And realtors and entrepreneurs who run Google search for their own full name will often find LinkedIn to top the list. And if you pivot and you strengthen the AI aspect of your business, then the moment you realize that and you build your profile around AI, anyone entering your LinkedIn profile from that second on will see the new version that you want to share. It's not a long-term process. It's not SEO. It's instant. So you can call the shots and you can take it to whatever direction you want to grow your business with.
Okay, so this is absolutely fascinating because one of the pushbacks I got, and I'm actually really legitimately curious. I'm going to ask a lot of questions, Daniel, by the way, that I have no clue the answer to because I'm very new to this LinkedIn world and I'm loving it. But one of the pushbacks I got is real estate is such a hyper localized business. I'm not trying to reach globally, but does it still have its thing? Like if I work in a town of let's say 150,000 people, is it still worthwhile to build my LinkedIn profile for buyers and sellers, or if I'm just a small local company?
Only if you want to succeed in your local company, in local area, because LinkedIn, like one of the biggest secret is advanced search. And you can say, only show me people within 20 miles of Toronto, only show me people within 30 miles of Montreal, and you will see less people, but those people could be buyers, those people could be sellers, those people could be prospects and client of yours. It doesn't matter that there are other people out there. As long as your ideal clients are there, forget everything else.
Amazing. So how does it, so again, a lot of people are going to be new to this world. And by the way, as a side note, I went to a business function where I got to meet a bunch of business owners, and it was crazy. Like this was my eye-opening experience. Everybody asked to connect with me on LinkedIn. And I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? I'm like, I'm not used to this because of just the way my business ran. So this eye-opening experience was, if I actually want to connect as a business owner to the business community, even locally, I have to be on here and I have to show my profile. So how does LinkedIn operate different than something like Facebook or Instagram, or dare I say TikTok? Like, I know they're not in the same level, but someone from the outside just often sees social media as social media. So how is it different? How does it establish itself differently?
Cool. Can we say that LinkedIn is not exactly social media and then explain?
Sure. Yeah. Because a lot of
So
people are going to take it as social media. So why isn't it social media? Let's dive into that. I think that's a perfect start.
cool. Great. So I don't think LinkedIn is social media. It's a mistake to consider it as social media because TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, everything else, in order to succeed, Nathan, you have to upload content.
Mhm.
There is no way for you to become a successful YouTuber unless you upload videos. It doesn't work. However, LinkedIn is the only platform where, in order to succeed, you don't have necessarily to share anything. Let's get back to the local market you mentioned.
Mhm.
You can identify your ideal prospect and see if you two share a mutual connection, and then leave the LinkedIn platform. That's the biggest secret. You leave the LinkedIn platform, you speak with your mutual connection, you ask them, can you connect me with that person? Do you know them well enough? And you can have a meaningful conversation with someone without ever sharing everything happened in the back office, everything happened in real life. When you spoke with your colleague, you spoke with the person you sold a condo to. Of course, if you want to share, you can, but it's not the only game in town. And the most frequent action LinkedIn users perform once they log in is visiting other people's profiles.
Hmm.
And that's also a bit more like the other platforms. We basically check because we want to see a video, we want to listen to music, we want to do something else. In LinkedIn, our readers are more interested in what we know and whether we are a solution to their problem, regardless of what we did or did not share. So it's not social media, because social media is, let me upload the meal I just had with my kids and Disney World and stuff like that. LinkedIn is a more, it's slower, it's more conservative, it's more professional, and it's not social media in that sense.
So, and I could be wrong in understanding this. So I'm curious. I'll ask it this way. And if I'm wrong, just please tell me. But I almost get the idea that most social media platforms are about attraction. I'm putting things on there to attract you to me, right? Where LinkedIn, from what you just described, is almost more of a research tool. I'm putting things on there for when the person is ready and looking, they find me. Not so much to go get them. They just find me when they're ready. Would that make sense as a good defining difference?
Yes, it's a great point, and it's a difference between, because billions of searches are run on the platform every year, and you have to identify the keywords you want people to look for. Like, what keywords are my prospect going to use? Not necessarily you, because you know a lot more about your specialty. And maybe someone who wants to just sell a house or do something else, they would not even use the right terms because they've done
Right.
it, last time 15 years ago. But you want to identify the keywords and weave them in a most natural way into your profile. So when I run a search and I identify you and I see that we share a mutual connection and I check with that person, they don't tell me Nathan who. They tell me you gotta speak with Nathan because 5 years ago when we were in the market, he really helped us.
Hmm. Okay, so that actually is going to lead me astray a bit, because now you got me curious on this. Because I was told the other day, to my dismay, that I over explain things in a very complicated way. Because to me, it's just the way my brain works. I hope my business partner is listening to this so he can understand that I heard him. Anyways, so when you talk about keywords, that really is one thing that makes me think about that. It's like, I know my business, and so I'll put in keywords that I would use, but that's not necessarily what the public would use. So how the heck do I figure out what is the public doing? Like, how is the public searching for me? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
How do I figure that out?
let's try to narrow out the public and into something more concrete. When you have a chat with your next client, ask them this question: and say, if you wanted to look for someone with my specialty, what are the 5 first terms you would use? And if they say maybe I'll use A or B or C, but what do you think? Should I? You don't answer any questions. You just elicit and ask follow-up questions. And if they decided they want to use those keywords, then you take that information and you process it. For example, I could be looking for a neighborhood in Toronto. That's a good keyword for me because we're interested in moving to that section. So once you understand that, you can take the neighborhoods you're interested in and weave, like, I work in Toronto area covering A, B, C, and D. This is very simple. You write for the algorithm, but you use the words that humans will use.
So this almost reminds me a bit of the Google complex that I see a lot of businesses get trapped in. And what I mean by that is I find a lot of businesses try not to hyper localize, whether it's on an area or on a skill set, because they don't want to miss everything. So they almost go too broad with their business. You know what I mean? Like instead of saying, hey, if we go back to the real estate example, instead of just saying, hey, I work in Durham region, or I work in Oshawa, or I work in Toronto, as you said, if I work in this area, that's hyper localizing. So what they'll often do is say, I'm an Ontario real estate agent, but now we're way too broad in what we're trying to find, right? And again, I catch myself doing this with my AI company all the time, is instead of specializing. So in LinkedIn, do you want to stay broad, or do you want to start to hyper localize so people specifically find you? Or is it a mix of strategy depending on the business? What's the strategy here?
Cool. So I think the question is valid, and it depends, like every other synthetic echo listener could have a different answer. What I would suggest in this case is make sure you use the neighborhood's names, but somewhere on your profile, the word Ontario should appear. Because Nathan, even if 20% will enter that term, you don't want them to miss you. The idea is to try and supply the right words at the right order in the right time, so people find you, glance and say, yes, that looks interesting, scroll down and nod and say, yes, that looks like someone I need to speak with. And then there's the social aspect of it, but it's not either or. You just want to make sure that what happens above the fold, like the first terms we use, are the first terms people see, are the ones they would think about.
Right.
But not necessarily your terms, but the way other people would search for them.
All right, perfect. So I want to go back to this content concept, because this is another part I'm curious. Again, I'm coming from more traditional. I use Facebook and Instagram a lot more because, again, in a lot of my career, I was the guy who would post my food, or I'm at the movies, or I'm at the golf course. And we always had those courses that are like X amount needs to be personal and X amount needs to be business and blah, blah, blah. But that's clearly different in the LinkedIn world. People, as you said, and I agree with, they don't care what I ate for dinner. They're not coming to Synthetic Echo to be like, hey, what AI company, what restaurants is he going to, right? They're coming to understand what I do. So when you look at posting content, how does that shape differently? Like okay, so take my AI company as an example. What would you suggest if I'm posting content? Am I posting things like, what cool product am I producing? Am I posting things, how am I helping businesses? Am I posting the sales pitch? What do I focus on? Cool. And how often?
Okay, fine. Yeah. So less often than we think, and try to answer the initial questions your prospects have. Let me try and explain a bit more. The content that performs usually best on LinkedIn is top of funnel, educational, and evergreen. That means, what are the first steps I need to accomplish if I want to sell my property? Or like if you want to turn it into AI, should I use just one tool, or should I use a combination of tools? Should we, in my company, should we do this or should we do that? So you must have heard the questions that your clients are asking. You think of a sort of an FAQ document, and you pick the first questions they have in mind, and you show them that you understand their problem and their pain.
Hmm.
I don't think you need to sell at this point. They need to start trusting you by reading and say, okay, so you dig it, you understand our problem, and if you help me move, take a baby step from point A, I was clueless, to point B, Danny, look, can do that. Then I look forward to see what else you have in store, and then I would maybe jump on a call or move to gated content or do something that's more down the funnel. But I would start with answering the first questions your prospects have and educate them, ideally with something that is less salesy and less time sensitive.
Hmm. So that salesy part actually brings up a good point, because something that drives me absolutely bonkers on LinkedIn. I'm curious if this is a good strategy or not, and maybe it's just because I'm always trying to figure out if it's just my perspective or if it's actually good. I follow someone, and within seconds, I get their sales pitch in my inbox and my message box. Is that accomplishing, like, to me, that's kind of like, it might accomplish your quick sale goal, but it's not accomplishing a long-term goal? Or is that a good strategy? Is that a strategy that you would actually recommend, that an automated message goes out and says, Daniel, go pay for my AI company audit for AI for you, because I will help you?
I may sound very old school,
Yeah.
but unless you want to spam more people, this is not the right approach, because you're hurting your business. Even if 5 people buy it, even if 2 companies will reply, you basically make more people see the name Nathan Graham and say, that's not someone I want to be associated with. That's not someone I'm going to consult with. So even if the technology is available, it doesn't make sense. We rarely walk into a golf course, meet someone, and propose. Maybe in Disney movie it happens, but in real life, you have to have a real life process. And
Right.
LinkedIn hasn't changed the process in our minds.
So kind of as a reframe, would you agree with saying that LinkedIn isn't, so trying to figure out how to articulate this. LinkedIn isn't a sales tool in the sense of a storefront.
Mhm.
It's more like your, if I want to go learn, it's more like your Google profile to go learn more about it. I want to see reviews. I want to see what this will do. I want to see what problems this is going to solve. It adapts more as a research tool into you as an individual, for other people to see the authentic you of your business, versus, this is my storefront. You're coming here to buy from me. I'm not looking at booking the listing appointment with you today. I don't want to push that. What I want you to do is to see how I kick ass at selling homes and the things I do, and how or to show you the process. Would that be accurate, or would you adjust that?
I wouldn't adjust it. I think the beauty of it is that you can make LinkedIn work for you in more than one way. And your way sounds good to you, and it's fine. It's not necessarily perfect for everyone, but it doesn't matter. You don't have to try to copy anyone. You have a real life objective, a real life business. It
Mm-hmm.
sounds a very good way, and consistency is probably stronger or better than trying to find the ideal, like chasing new shiny objects and do this like for 2 weeks, then do this for 2 weeks. No, if if that works for you, keep to it. Doesn't matter what other people do.
All right, that's fair. I love it. Okay, I want to shift gears here a little bit, because I am an AI company, and one thing I see a lot, and I literally did it this morning, is I had Claude take over my computer and spruce up all my social medias, my Facebook, my Google business profiles, because quite frankly, it's smarter than I am when it comes to these things. I have companies that do automated messaging to make sure I don't lose track of a client. Yet I do fully recognize that in today's world, we don't want to lose our human voice. And really, we have two options with AI. One option is we either let it replace us by it doing all of our job, or the second option we have is we let it enhance us. We let it allow us to create mastery on what we do. So first and foremost, how do you see AI or automation impacting the LinkedIn space right now, in either positive or negative ways?
Okay, the frequent action that many people perform is use AI to generate content.
Hmm.
And some studies I've seen give AI content something from 40 to 50% of content we may see on LinkedIn on any given day is AI generated. The problem, as you know, is that back in the day, producing high quality content was extremely difficult. It was time consuming. It was very, very expensive. There's a TEDx talk I listened to with Yuri Blast, and he argues that if everyone can produce high quality content, then the question is, do I trust you? And trust is becoming more scarce, because if you as a one-person army can produce that much content and professional looking and amazing videos, then the layer that becomes more important is people asking, are you for real? Can I actually work with you? And this is where LinkedIn's social layer is very important. You mentioned ways to use LinkedIn. Imagine I'm interested in working with you as a company, and I check you out on LinkedIn, and I see that you and I share 2 mutual connections. And the first, I'll call her Jennifer Doe, and the second, I will call Jennifer Jones.
Okay.
And I decide which one I want to speak with. And if, Nathan, I speak with Jennifer Doe and she says, Nathan, who? Then I'm less likely to actually work with you. But if I reach out to Jennifer Jones and she tells me you're the best coach and you're the best trainer and you're amazing, and she's been on this podcast before, then I'm likelier to reach out to you, to work with you. And if I come as a referral, I'm more of a warm lead. I'm less price sensitive. Because if someone I trust told me you need to speak with you, then I'm more in a buying mood when I speak with you, even if it's the first time. And this podcast is a great way to achieve this, because people who will listen to your show have a better understanding of how do you speak, and is your rhythm, does that align with my style? So they would know you, and they would come to the meeting. They would be better. They would stay with you longer, and they can end up sending other referrals your way. So your social layer is extremely important. Do people who you're connected with, can they vouch for you? Can they become, can they recommend you? Or will they go and say, hey, I have no idea what he does, but we connected a while back and check him out. That's not what I expected from someone who's supposed to know you. Short answer, you're responsible for the way your profile looks, but you're also responsible for the names I see as our mutual connections.
Interesting.
It's our responsibility. Doesn't matter whether she sent me an invitation and I accepted. No one says this. I see a name. If I ask that person about you, you want them to help promote you and make sure that I think it's a good idea to speak with you.
Now, I want to wrap my mind around that. Does that regularly happen on LinkedIn? Because again, I'm thinking back of how you compare it to other things, and it's like my Instagram, I need to have so many followers. Hey, look at me, I got 5,000 followers on Facebook. I must be give me a free dinner at the next restaurant I go to. Blah 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 blah. Right? And to be honest, as I approach LinkedIn, I kind of approach it a little bit as I want to connect. Like I'm being a little bit picky of who I connect with, but I do want to connect with names that might be associated with. Yet what you're talking about is I haven't went ahead and built relationships with them. Like I haven't went and just said, hey, this is what I do. Let me know how I can help. And so is that, first of all, is that the expectation on LinkedIn? Is it worthwhile just to reach out and just say, hey, I want to introduce myself. I want to let you know what I do. And then let me know how I can support and help you, number one. And number two, should I be a lot more picky? Like, should I not just be like, hey, this person wants to connect with you? Oh, sure. What the heck? More numbers, the better. Should I be more like, hey, why should I ask them before they connect? Why do you want to connect with me?
Cool. Wow, this is like the road less traveled. So let's try to answer both questions. I'll think it makes sense to start with the second one.
Okay.
I would ask, in 3 years' time, Nathan, if you had to pick one, would you like to be the most connected or the best connected on LinkedIn?
Best connected.
Cool. Best connected means you know your network. And I'd like to emphasize that we have a limited bandwidth. Maybe in Toronto, your bandwidth is way better than mine. but it's still limited. Maybe you can keep in touch with 1,200 people, 20,000 people, but you've got a limit. So the question to ask is, after I accept this person's invitation, when they will ask me something in 3 months' time, will I stop my busy day and try to help them? When their birthday comes up, will I stop and invest in calling them, reaching out to them, speaking with them on November 26th? Or will I say, nah, it's not that important, let me move on? If that person is not important for you to stop your life or to wish them Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday, whatever, then maybe you two do not have to be connections on LinkedIn.
So first of all, I don't want it to go unnoticed. I appreciate all the little research you've done through this, mentioning my birthday, mentioning past guests. That's awesome. So I don't want that to go unnoticed. Second of all, so if I were to sum it up, because I like to sum things up in one-liners so we can simply understand it. Really, we're looking at quality over quantity for sure then.
Yeah, that's a simplest ways to look at it. Yes.
Yeah. So in a very simple way, we want quality relationships, and that's what builds us. That's what helps us get found, and what contributes towards our network, not having 1,000 connections.
Unless you're in the commodity business, and I don't think you are,
no,
then it's better to have a small sandbox with people who are promoters of you, who can vouch for you, can guarantee that it makes sense to speak with you, rather than 20,000 people who have no idea or no clue who you are. You can be very successful on LinkedIn with 20 people you're connected with, and you might have 1,500, and you will not be able to translate those connections into real life revenues. So you ask yourself, would I rather have a contract or revenues without a connection, or a new connection without revenues? It doesn't make sense. If you're in business, the first answer is the right answer.
Yeah. But the second answer is a lot easier because I don't have to talk with people. That's bad. I appreciate this whole conversation so far because unfortunately you've just given me a whole weekend worth of work now because I got to go through every person and go connect with them. Oh, dang.
Let's make it simple. You have a real life network. Okay, you've worked with X people in the AI world, in the real estate world, and some of them are LinkedIn. Maybe it's 200 people, maybe it's something else.
Sure.
I would start with connecting with those people, period. So clean your network, trim your network, make sure that these people you connected with are people you can answer questions about, and you can get more referrals than trying to advertise to a small community. You asked earlier if you want to be your best connected or most connected. Let's discuss most connected for just 30 seconds. Most connected on LinkedIn means you have to have 30, 40, or 50,000 followers. So in between is the most dangerous zone. If I only have 3,000, I think I have exposure, I have nothing. Most people will not live on LinkedIn 24/7. So they will, maybe 2% will see what you share. In order for that to count, you must have tens of thousands of connections or tens of thousands of followers. Basically, because it's difficult to veer, to switch from most to best, it takes years. You basically have to ask yourself, what is more important for me, exposure or trust? And most people start with trust, having a close network, and they keep receiving invitation, and at one point they try to become most connected without ever becoming most connected. So they're on a no man's land, and they don't have enough exposure. They have marginal exposure, and all the time they diluted or polluted the quality of their network. So pick one. You can be successful if you're most connected. You can be successful if you're best connected. You can hardly be successful if you're trying to have your cake and eat it.
I love that because self-admittedly, I'm caught in that trap right now, and this conversation is making me realize that I'm definitely not the most connected, but I'm also not building trusted connections. And this is great. I'm going to take this. I definitely want to shift this into a quote. Like you got to teach this. So actually, let's make the shift. We're at a half an hour, Daniel. I run into enough people in the AI world that says, hey, this is a really cool concept, but I don't got time to figure this out. So tell me what you do, because why am I checking out your site? And why am I hiring you? What am I hiring you to do? I want you to share. You are if a small business company or a small business owner is listening to this being like, man, I would love to figure out how to do this, but I don't have the time or whatever. You're the hack. You are the guy that they get to do this. So tell me what you do and how you can help support them.
Thank you very much, Nathan. I ask questions about their business and their clients, the people they want to work with. And the single most important question is, would you be able to identify your ideal client, yes or no? Do not work with someone like me unless you know the answer to that question, because LinkedIn will not solve that problem. If you do know, however, who's your ideal client, it could be a local, hyper-local market, it could be global, it could be something else, then there's usually a gap between what you say you want and your behavior. And most people understand it instantly. Like, ask them a couple of questions, they say X, and then they check in and they know that they haven't done that. They've done something else. In a way, I help people ask themselves, am I doing what's right for my business, or am I doing what's popular?
Well, you just did that to me. Like, you just asked me, do I want trust or do I want exposure? And the first thing I said is I wanted trust. And then honestly, through our conversation, I'm like, but dang, I'm not building it. What I'm actually building is exposure, but at a very low level, even though my desire is trust. Like well done on that one. All right. Sorry, I'll stop interrupting, but that's very good. Okay, so you take them through the questionnaire, and then what can they expect as results? Okay, so Daniel, I hire you. What do I expect as results or as an outcome?
What would you define as the outcome you're interested in business? Would you like to have more conversations with qualified buyers? Would you like to have more referrals? How would you measure your success? And the answer should not be in LinkedIn terms. It should be in real life terms. Say you want to have another strategy call a week with potential buyers, or you want 3 more calls with qualified leads. Now let's build your LinkedIn machine so it feeds that. Maybe you had 2 discovery calls every week, and working with LinkedIn, you will be able to have 4 calls. And if you manage to convert 1 out of 2 people, and thanks to what we did on LinkedIn, you will convert 3 out of 4 people, then it's very easy to see the math and to look at your bank account and say, that's worthwhile. That's what I want to do. I'm not in the market of selling LinkedIn connections, LinkedIn followers, LinkedIn impressions. No, I'm in the business of real life. How would you measure success? And if I can help you do that, then we're gold.
Awesome. So your website is danielalfon.com. I want to give you the final word before I do my lovely closing that AI has created for me. You're going to learn I do things rarely myself. I get AI to do everything. What is it? Is there anything that you've wanted to say that you've missed? Is there any message you want to convey to the listeners out there about whether it's how important it is, whether it's about what you do? I want to give you the opportunity. If there is something that I didn't ask that you were really hoping I asked, that you have the opportunity to share it now.
So I wanted to thank you for the opportunity, and I think you're very open-minded about it, and you admitted a lot of stuff to yourself and to me and to the listeners. What I will say is that it's a lot easier once you understand what you want to achieve, and once you see the gap, it's not that difficult. It's a habit. It's a new autopilot. Instead of just accepting or just sharing or just something else, we'll have another system. Usually the system you will have is less time consuming. It brings you more revenues and you sleep better. Who can say no to that?
Amazing. All right, man. I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for coming on. Let me pull in my AI thing here, which is going to sound, you can always tell when I go to my AI pre-scripted stuff. You know what? I'm going to do this more off the cuff because I just read what I'm supposed to say. But honestly, I do find this perspective very refreshing. this is really, for me anyways, this has really helped me shape this idea behind goals. And I know I often talk real estate, and I'll talk about my own AI company, but I really hope every company can take this out of this. Because, you know, as you're talking, I'm even thinking about barbershops and coffee shops. I go to a barbershop that has a very particular style to it that I love going. And you only know that by showing up. And I think the aha moment I'm having here is I could have also known that in LinkedIn. Had they had a LinkedIn profile, I could have seen what that is. And the same idea, coffee shops, there might be 30 coffee shops, but there's a big difference between a Starbucks and a Tim Hortons and your local cafe. And LinkedIn seems to be the way that you can really express that interest out for the people as a part of that research. And so this has helped me reframe a lot. So I appreciate you, man. I appreciate everything. Thank you so much for coming on.
Nathan, thank you very much. And if listeners have a B2B aspect of their business, this is the place where LinkedIn excels. Going back to what you said, the barbershop could offer companies to come to the company and have people's hair cut. And they will have higher margins. They will have, this differentiates them from 90% of other barbershops. And the coffee house could open a branch in the company. So business is conducted on LinkedIn. You don't have to chase another person who wants to cut their hair. Ask yourself where the big fish are. Where can I work with hundreds or thousands of people? And this is where LinkedIn excels. It's only a mind shift. It's not really difficult. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it.
Amazing. I could keep you all day. I have to have you on again.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for taking time to listen to the episode. If you have questions, reach out to me. Check out danielelfon.com. His link is going to be in the description. Peace out. I'll see you guys next week.
We're building tomorrow, but we're human today. Where technology meets us and ideas lead the way.
Business and connection, growth in every sound. The future keeps on calling. Can you hear it coming now?
Where human meets machine. Create it, build it, grow it, and shape what comes between.
The future starts right